Hello, everyone. It's another awesome day. What a weekend. Um,
Man,
I could have swore I called it, but I don't do you remember me saying because I felt like I said last week it was either going to be UConn or UCLA that was going to win. Do you recall?
yeah,
I,
you said UConn, UCLA. I said whoever won between UConn and USC. I mean, in Southern South Carolina, but
but we obviously we're gonna get to all that. Let's first up. What are your thoughts on what happened to Jay Ivy?
the same thing that I tell, the same thing that I teach, and the same thing that I tell anybody. When you get into this world now, this ain't the world to where you can have all your views and can share it amongst the people that was around you, and it would never hurt or harm what what your business side of it was. This day and age, you say anything that can get out in the open. And yeah, I know people do a lot of posting and taking down. No, that doesn't count because as soon as it hits, if there are scavengers, that's just like throwing a piece of meat out in front of vultures and thinking that you can have it on a string and pull it back, and no vulture is going to get at least a piece of the meat off of it. So you throw it out there and you went live for a long period of time and you express your views. I'm never knocking you on your views. I'm never knocking you on what your beliefs are.
Hmm.
But what we have gotten so accustomed to lately is that our views are our views, but when you're a part of a business or you're part of an organization or something else like that, your views, if it differs from what that organization is, that is grounds for termination. Yes, you can fight it. Yes, you can go through the lawsuits and everything else for it, but that is code of conduct. That is in that employee handbook that they pass out to you at all times. That's why they tell you, as much as my job, my first job has it to where I can wear where I want to in there for it. I've had inklings, and I've told you I've had inklings to where I wanted to wear the Kaepernick jersey in there for it, and because I own one. And but I also know that if anybody that's a higher up feels like that's disrespectful or controversial in that, that's going to be a conversation with HR. So I push the envelope, but I don't go over it. Ivy's situation there was he spoke his truth, and his truth got him to where the first things first. The Bulls is a shit show right now, and we'll tag into more into that later. But they're a shit show right now. So any instant that they can do to where they can just get off of somebody off the books, he said his faith beliefs. He's got to go.
Well,
And,
yeah,
but that's what it was. That's what
I get what you're saying.
yeah, and that's what it was. And the other part of it that this comes down to as well, and it's a it's a double-edged sword is that I'm a person to where what you do is what you do. What you believe in is what you believe in. I'll never push my views onto you just as long as you don't push your views on towards me. But we've also had the discussions to where I'm accepting of the LBGTQ community, but it seems like some of it is forced to where we have to acknowledge it in there for it. And it's crazy how, and the reason why I say it's forced is because I think a lot of these companies put it out there in order to make money off of it and don't care about the actual fight. That's the same way it's getting to a point now to where in certain instances they treat Pride Month and everything else just like they treat African American Black History Month or Latino History Month to push to that demographic to try to boost their sales and not care about the plight or anything else that was involved into getting to that point. So him saying that was probably how it might not be how it might be how a lot of players actually feel. Because I would think about it this way. Do you think Karl Malone would be standing by if they were pushing Pride Month with as staunch as religious person that he was, even though he did his stuff?
Mm-hmm. No.
Right. So I can't
I
knock it.
know, I know Charles. We all know that Charles gonna say what he
Just
say, and
terrible.
he don't give no kinds of a damn. And of
Terrible.
course, you know me and you talk,
I
so you
gotta
know.
wear a rainbow. Just terrible.
You know, so we gonna get some Charles talk in because I know he happy right now. But
Mm-hmm.
to your unfortunate chagrin, because what I text you about last night when it came to the NIT. But
Yeah.
so to that, I'm gonna start it off like this, and I'm gonna say, remember the following people. You already mentioned one of them. For those that want to say whatever they want to say and think ain't nothing gonna happen, think Colin Kaepernick.
Mm-hmm.
Think Martin Luther King. Think Malcolm X.
Yep.
They spoke. They spoke what was in their heart. They stood up for what they believed in. They died for it. Heck, I'll even mention Nick Cannon.
Yeah. Because he's dying right now.
Cause I don't know about right now, but I know when he was rising, he went. I think it was. Correct me if I'm wrong. What wasn't it at the Jews? And all of a sudden, stuff went left, and he
Oh
had to
no, he
do.
did it again.
Oh well. I remember the first time he did it, and and things went left.
Mm-hmm.
Freedom of speech is
Not
only
free anymore.
is it's never been, but that's the
It's never.
fallacy.
You're right.
It's
It's never been free.
never been free. I knew this when I was still in high school. There were people going through stuff like this in high school. This ain't new. Quit blaming social. This is why I keep saying quit blaming social media. None of this stuff that's happening is new. It's just more out in the open, and more people are seeing it and getting a hold to it because of social media. Now, if you want to
Yep.
say that, but don't sit up here and act like it's this totally new thing and things weren't like this back in the day. Yes, it was. It just everybody wasn't hearing about it.
It took what social media has done is taken what we might have heard about weeks or months down the line after it was done. It made it seconds.
Yes,
It
that's it. There's nothing. There's absolutely positively nothing new up under the sun. The difference between the way people act now and the way they acted back then is that more people are living the way that they want to live because they've been told you be you. And the problem with that was at least some of the people, the confused people were saying it, assuming that people gonna use their brain and only put out there what makes them look good in a good light. But with
Mhm.
all this, except you be who you are. You don't let anybody stop you. You be who you want to be. It's like, okay. Now, you do understand that there's some things that us humans do and some ways that us humans act and our mouths open and things come out. You do understand that what you are doing is, without putting context to that statement, you are basically opening up Pandora's box, and then you're wondering, like the movie, the Cat in the Hat, the
Yeah.
box. Now, there are some people that tell you don't open the box,
Right.
but
They
you're
always
like,
say that.
no, I'm gonna open this box and I'm gonna do what I want to do. And you got a bunch of supporters like, yeah, you open that box, you do what you want to do. Okay, why am I now sitting in a world of chaotic mess?
Mm-hmm.
Because this is the door you opened.
Yep.
Now you can't look at a rate. You're never going to get a racist to see that they're wrong. You told them that they have a right to speak their truth.
Yeah,
To them, that's their truth.
you're never gonna see anybody. Everything, as long as we've sat there, we've pushed, and society has pushed. Be open, be honest, be be real with yourself, be 100 with yourself, and that's fine. That's how you should be. But they never talk about the repercussions for when you're doing that when it comes to others. Yeah, you're free. You said what you did. You just said what you believe in everything else, but they never talk about then what. Then because
What?
most of the time people sit up there and they'll get out there and they'll say it and they're proud of it and everything else. And then when the backlash hit, they like, well, why am I getting all this backlash? Because
You're
you said
getting the
something against
backlash because what you term as haters are people that are just using their freedom of speech just like you,
mm-hmm.
and they don't agree with you. And according to this planet, they don't have to agree with you, and they
No, they
have
don't
that
have to.
right. So you got a bunch of people arguing with each other, and everybody using the First Amendment to say that they have a right to say what they want to say to the other person, which they're not wrong per se, I guess. But
No, they're not wrong.
it,
But
it but it just it causes more chaos.
it completely causes more chaos. And then they saying like you can't get they tell you all the time when it comes to this. This is the game that we play when we're doing this. We know for a fact. Just like we sit up there, we'll say our little jokes and stuff, where we'll sit there and say, hey, hey Joy, give me a call. Things like that. Now, I know for a fact if push came to shove and Joy was watching the show and she felt a certain kind of way, I'd get a harassment charge.
Yeah.
And then I'll be like, but it was my freedom of speech. I didn't say anything derogatory that I can remember, but I just say, hey, give me a call. That's it.
And that's
But
actually more innocent than what Lonzo Ball's dad said to what's her name, and she got and she caught hell for it because everybody was riding with LeVar Ball. But when I watched the clip, I just looked, I'm like, no, you don't say that. It just
mm-mm,
no, mm-mm, because it's open to interpretation. Now he can say, and he know what he meant when he said what he said about, I think he said, you can ask me a question anytime, or you can talk to me anytime, or something like that. So
yeah, he knew what he was saying.
you knew what, like, okay, you didn't mean it that, okay. All right. Is it possible you didn't mean it that way? Sure. Is it likely? No. But I digress. So, but yeah, I hope that he does find another team. But again, people have to understand, unless your name is Donald Trump, you're more than likely gonna get land-based. And now, are there some other select few other than Donald Trump? Yeah, I know some comedians that still say whatever they want to say, and they don't catch enough backlash for it to matter. So, like Bill Burr. Bill Burr is still Bill Burr. He
Right.
don't
He don't
give
care.
a damn. He don't give a damn. Aries, when he comes, I'm actually mad because he was here last month and I missed him. Um, he pretty much he say whatever he want to say, however he wants to say it. Um, quite a few, but yeah, I at the end of the day, he should have a right to say what he feels because he wasn't disrespecting anyone. That's the and but the problem is we got to start remembering you're representing yourself. And in terms of representing a brand, you play for the Chicago Bulls. You play in the NBA. So you are anything that comes out of your mouth, whether you are wearing, in that case, whether you're wearing the jersey or not, you could be sitting, he could have been like, I'm pretty sure he was sitting at home when he said all this, right?
No, he was on a flight.
What,
He
but
was the last part of it. He was on a flight, and the flight attendant had to make him stop the flight. I mean, stop recording because they were getting ready to take off.
oh, oh yeah, that's right.
So
So
he was out in the open.
yeah, but was he on the tour with the with
He wasn't with the team because he was supposed to be rehabbing.
yeah, right. But even at home, it don't matter where you are. You could be in Hollywood at a gala. If somebody asks you a controversial question and you answer it and people don't like your answer, you gonna catch it.
Mm-hmm.
It just, you could be sitting at home on social media. There's been plenty of people that were sitting at home on social media, posted something that just like and people didn't like it, and boom, they caught flack over it.
Right.
So it we have to get an understanding that it is what it is. You have to have a Charles Barkley type of level, but understand that unlike Charles, you can be dismissed, you can be fired. Because
You're not
if
leaving the
Charles had
program right
pulled
now.
what he pulled back then today, I'm pretty sure he would have not been with the team because
It would have been terrible.
people was spitting at him and throwing stuff at him, and he was spitting back and throwing it right back. So, and that's why he told people like, look, I'm not a role model. Don't assume I'm a role model, and don't assume that just because you decide you're gonna do something disrespectful to me, that it's not gonna come back. If you swing at me, I'm gonna swing back. If you spit at me, I'm gonna spit back. If you throw something at me, I'm gonna throw it back. Don't do anything to me that you don't want done to you.
Right.
And the crazy part was and I'm sure I've told you this is when I was little, I was a Pistons fan at the time, but that actually made me a Charles Barkley fan. I'm like, you know what? He got a point.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there should be a limit to what people can do.
But there's no limit anymore.
And or right, because money talks and it's a doggone shame. But uh like I said, good luck to him. It's unfortunate that it happened. Like you said, there probably were uh they were in the middle of like cleaning house anyway, so it did make it convenient
Man, they ain't
that
in the middle of cleaning house. I want
didn't you tell me that they was pretty much like a lot of the good players that was there at the
They had
beginning?
traded a lot of players. Today alone was a microcosm of how much of a shit show Chicago is. Because what did we talk about last week about Billy Donovan? We said that Billy Donovan was North Carolina's number one choice of being a head coach. But what
Mm-hmm.
did I say the hangup was going to be? The portal opens at midnight tonight. The season don't end till next week. So Billy Donovan was in limbo. My sources are saying that North Carolina went to Chicago and offered to pay the buyout for him to be free. Chicago declined and did so. That's what made them pivot, bring Michael Malone back into the picture, hire Michael Malone. And less than 30 minutes after the announcement hit, Chicago fired their VP of basketball operations and their general manager. So the people that told you no, you couldn't make that move, got fired 30 minutes after the move was made to somebody else. If I'm Billy Donovan, I am pissed right now because I could have got out and been in a nice situation and got out of the mess. Now I'm stuck holding the bag for all of it.
Mm.
I literally, I bullshit you not. When that notification hit, scrolling through my phones, scrolling through my phones. Where'd it go? Here it is. It said athletic. Yep, Shams. Nope, that was Shams, that one. That was Shefty. The announcement for I texted you around what time with the announcement for with Mike Malone. Monday about 1:30.
Yeah, 130, something like that.
I'm checking it now. When I sat there, I just text 2:13. So the announcement came right around 1:45, 2 o'clock. The announcement of the firing was released by Shams 2:38. I can't make this stuff up. This is what happened. I can't make this up. So that's just a mess. And I don't know what you can do in order to save face unless you gotta make Billy Donovan the basically the general manager and the head coach. That's the only way you're gonna save face, because if you get rid of him and now he don't have no job and he could have had North Carolina, oh, I'd be suing.
Mhm.
But who knows? That's why I said Chicago is a shit show right now. North Carolina's not that far behind, but Chicago's a shit show. And somewhere in America, the only thing that the craziest thing that they said about Mike Malone's hiring was that Roy Williams, Michael Jordan, and the rest of the upper echelon Tar Heel backers all signed off on it. They all approved of the deal. And I'm like, okay, that means what? God approved of Hubert Davis too. That means what? In this current climate, this current dynamic. If you look at what Mike Malone has done in his career with all the good teams he had in Denver, we can honestly sit there and say if it wasn't for Jokic being in Denver, would Denver would have won that championship?
Well, I mean,
No.
yeah, but you can say that about a lot of teams,
Right, right. But
especially any
Denver,
team that LeBron was on.
Denver has Denver ever screamed? Denver, they had Mutombo, they had Carmelo, they had Iverson, they had J.R. Smith when J.R. Smith was a good
No, you
player.
can't count. No, you can't count Iverson because
That was on the back end of his career.
that 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 was on the back of end of his career, and he was so set in his ways on how he played the game, how he played his game, that he would have needed to do a little pivot, and he wasn't able to do it. So, and that's why he didn't last in Detroit either. Because
Yeah,
people was thinking because if I'm not
Detroit, he was
mistaken,
going to
Rip and
be.
them was still there when he went to Detroit, and everybody was thinking like, uh-oh, Allen that went over there to Detroit. Rip, maybe
They
Detroit
about to
can
be
make a run,
good.
but
Oh shit, let it go.
they couldn't make a run, and I knew the answer to that was no. And as usual, you know my stories when I say what I say, you know what people say to me. And yet again, I was not wrong. So, I will take your opinion of telling me I'm wrong just because a dude is a super talented player. But the one thing that I need you to do for me is to explain to me what happened when I come out to be right. You thought when he
Right.
went to Detroit, he was going to turn into a championship. You thought when he went to Denver, it was going to turn into a championship, and I kept telling you no. And I even gave you reasons, and that just it's a whole level of ridiculousness. But so that we could keep everything running, I'm gonna move on to the next. This one should be short, quick and to the point. So, I got this from Basketball Graphico.
Mhm.
Apparently it was a quote from Joe Mazzulla, because
Mhm.
he won Coach of the Year,
Oh,
and
he was up for Coach of the Year, or did he
uh,
win last year? I don't even
yeah,
remember.
yeah, yeah, yeah. His opinion on the Coach of the Year award is like, I don't need it. I don't think I think it's a stupid award. They shouldn't have it.
Part of me agrees with him. I mean, you praising the coach for what? Doing their job.
Yeah, but do you really want to open that ball of wax?
No, because here's the thing.
Because
Because if anything, I could see if you're giving an award for a coach that came in and changed like a team and won 20 games better than what they did, improvement. Like JB Bickerstaff should
that's what
be
it's
coach
supposed to
of the
be
year.
for.
Right. That's what it's supposed to be. But we all know that the coach of the year normally goes to the team with the best record or close to the best record. It's pretty much what the coach of the year has become what we call the Heisman Trophy now for going to the top quarterback. It don't have to be the best player. It's normally the best quarterback. And then the college football player of the year normally goes to the best player all around. So it's if it's that hollow of a trophy, I can feel him on that. But at the same time, this is what Red Auerbach and Lenny Wilkins and Phil Jackson and Chuck Daly uh and that's some of the great and Pop. That's the trophy that these people didn't want. Don't mess with it. And Missoula's always been an eccentric person. Just from seeing his mannerisms and everything else like that. It's going to be interesting seeing him around here a lot more from what I'm hearing.
Hmm.
But it's I feel him, but then again, this is another one where it's a time and place to have that conversation. That's
Hmm.
not something that you put out there into it because people will take it for you just basically saying it one way, will sit there and turn around and take it and say, you know what? Uh you don't really care about it. You know what I'm saying, you're out here doing this. We don't you should be thankful that you have a job and a career and blah blah blah. You'll hear all types of stuff.
All right. So, my take on it is like I said, you don't want to open Pandora's box, because if that one's a ridiculous award, then if you really look at it, so is a lot of these other ones.
Oh yeah.
Um, that are given out. Uh, so you don't want to open that box. Now, if you want to, maybe go back to putting some rules on it to give it some actual power. Like I said, it used to be when when the team that wasn't doing that well, coach comes in, players come in, and the coach figures out how to get that team to play together the way the previous coach couldn't, and they end up making like all type of historic records compared to 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 what they used to do. That guy was getting the award.
Right.
So, or practically going undefeated, you're gonna get the award. So yeah, I'm with you. Definitely see where he's trying to go with it, but I feel like you about to open Pandora's box and was like, wait, if this award is ridiculous, what about some of these other ones? And what else are we doing that's ridiculous that we need to get rid of? Don't do that.
Yeah.
Uh,
And that's where it turns into where it's like, okay, why am I even fighting this battle
all
with
right,
this?
now the next one up was the Patrick Beverly controversy. So you got to listen to all that, right?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, I listened to it. I listened to Shannon and Joe and and Ocho talk about it, and and I even listened to Gil's reaction to it. Here's my thing. Number one, Dwayne Wade is better than Harden. Now, and this is
Yeah.
why this is why I say it. You're comparing a consistently one-way player to a consistently two-way player.
Yeah. But they don't look at it that way.
And the thing I love about it was I was sitting up there thinking it, and when I listened to Gills, he pointed that out. It's like,
Yeah,
yes, from a shooting standpoint, Harden is better. All around player, it's not even a conversation.
no,
His name shouldn't even be compared. And I'm sure that's the attitude that came from Dwayne Wade. That's what it was about. It's like, wait, you wasn't all that great. You was more of a one-way player. You were better on defense than you were offensively. Why are you even talking about me?
yeah,
And it sounded disrespectful because he was pissed, but he had a reason to be pissed. It's like, wait, you're not comparing apples to apples. You're taking an apple and an orange and saying that one is
it's
better
a
than
strawberry.
right, one is better than the other. It's like, but they don't do the same thing. So why are we comparing? Shouldn't you be comparing things that have all the same attributes so that you can compare them side by side? And in that, Harden's not even in his conversation, which to me would put Wade a step above because he said that Wade, in his opinion, Wade was fourth, which shooting guards, who was he trying to put the first three? Michael, Kobe. Who was the third?
I have no idea. That's why I was like, what? I didn't. I didn't get mad at Pat Beverly's take at it. I just feel like it was typical Pat Beverly and was ill advised.
I,
And
I flat out disagree with it, but go ahead.
and the other because the stats that he brought up when he sat down after the fact, he sat there. He was saying the stats for the shooting aspect of it.
Mhm.
He was coming back with some good points on that. But like everybody said, he missed the fundamental part of it that made it to where it was what it really was. He's not only he wasn't just a shooter. We've watched James Harden disappear.
A lot of his injuries, a lot of Dwayne Wade's injuries because he was an old school player. If a ball went down to the floor, he is not pulling a Cam Newton. He is going to the floor for the ball. He
Mm-hmm.
was he it didn't matter the size of the dude that was at the rim. If he wanted to go to the rim, he was going.
Going to the rim.
And no matter what the car crash was going to be like when they came together, that was him. You're talking a two-way player. He is a quintessential two-way player. And to me, I definitely agree with you that even though I respect LeBron's career, even in Miami, popularity popularity and Dwayne Wade to an extent was saying that that was LeBron's team. But anybody
Right.
that really paid attention to it knows that, I mean, who set the foundation? No, it wasn't LeBron. The foundation was set before he
That
got
by
there,
way.
and that was Dwayne Wade. Now, did he, as he said, he acquiesced. He's like, okay, LeBron, you here, do what you do. I'm gonna do what I do. And it worked out to two out of four championships, although it should have been one, but I digress. Not gonna hold us up beating a dead horse. But yeah, that whole thing, listening to that was so. was so funny, especially when they played the snippet from Dwayne Wade, because you could just hear the every bit of anger, and then
Mm-hmm.
and then he to me he got disrespectful because he felt disrespected, and that's what people gonna do is you come at somebody disrespectful, and I do it. I don't like to do it, but I've always told you I don't like to do it, but just last week, what was it? Um. Somebody came at me and called me a dump because I was asked to. They've been doing this thing online where they put up an actor's face and they say, "Give me one movie." I gave them all the movies I liked, so I gave like 10 movies. And somebody gon' hit my comment and be like, um, "They said one movie, you dump." I'm like,
Oh,
oh. So then I came out of my nice place. I questioned the level his level of intelligence um and pointed out to him that when I saw that person's face, I thought of these movies. Yes, it said what's one movie, but it didn't say it was mandatory that it be
no.
one movie. It said what's a movie? What okay.
It, it,
And so I do what I do when somebody comes at me disrespectful online. I go in
right.
and then I proceed to disrespect them with the exact words that they use to disrespect me. And then I'm done with it. And then I try to find my peaceful spot again. And people got to stop that keyboard worrying crap. It just, dude, no, stop. It's like I was just trying to have a little fun here. This looked like this was fun. I was jumping in for fun. And now you hit my comment and you're making it not fun. Now I'm irritated. Now I gotta
Now I'm gonna be a jerk.
let you know, right. Now I gotta let you know that your level of jerk is not intelligibly higher than mine. There's a reason why people don't like me in terms of trying to debate. Don't try to debate me, and if you're gonna do it, don't get disrespectful. You get disrespectful, you start spouting off things that are false. I'm gonna go in.
And
I'm
that's
gonna go in, and you're gonna hate me more than I hate you. You're going to hate me for what I factually said. I'm going to hate you because I'm having an unnecessary argument that you had zero chance of winning. It's like, no, don't stop. But anyway, um, I just, it's, it's crazy that even on their level, for all that talk about, friendship and everything, when it comes to these podcasts, you sure don't see it.
mm-mm,
You sure don't see it. Like,
mm-mm.
wait a minute, how many of y'all are actually friends?
A lot of them ain't. Because I mean, you see how Swaggy P and Kenyon Martin go back and forth with it all the
Well,
time.
that okay. Kenyon, okay. Kenyon he's a slippery slope. When he
I
don't
love him.
agree with you, when he don't agree with you now, a lot of times I think Swaggy P be knowing what he be doing.
Oh
And
yeah,
he feel how he feel and he ain't budging. But and anybody that know Kenyon gonna be Kenyon and he ain't budging. And God forbid if on top of drawing that line in the sand, he feel like you lightweight disrespecting him on top of that, then he really gonna amp up.
right.
And it's like, no, don't do that. Don't don't do that. Like it tripped me out that whole situation with the guy that worked behind the scenes on the show that he could
When he
that
sat there and
made
he was talking, but
that
he told him the truth.
right and But the part that really, on top of what Kenyon did, the part that tripped me out about Swaggy P was after he figured just the right time, because he didn't want to be dealing with it on the show anyway. And as soon as he saw an open window that Kenyon was done dealing with him, he was like, "It's over, right? Man, get your butt on back there. It's like go on somewhere. Like we got a show to do, and you didn't cause some stuff. Get out of here." It's like so we can start talking about stuff I actually want to be witnessing and actually want to be talking about. So yeah. Swaggy is cool. I never thought very highly of him from playing standpoint. I just to me his in the way he envisioned himself and what I saw on the court didn't match up. And you know how I feel about situations like that. I'm not about it. I just like make it match up or I can't rock with you. Now he did have some valid points. I saw some points like when they was having their little arguments and King was like amping up and being on one. I kind of seen where Swaggy P was coming from on his end, but at the end of the day, I also knew that what Kenya was talking about was on a higher level. Both were kind of right depending on what they said at certain times that they said it, but most of it was on Kenyan's side. So with that.
Yeah.
With that, good luck to all of them. I hope it all works out. Although, um, I'm not gonna completely move off of it because I gotta be honest. I forgot I did not completely listen to something that you sent me. Um, so since we seem to be like barreling through stuff, I'm going to take a few seconds to see what Nick Wright said that totally pissed you off. when you sent it to me. So, let's see here. Give it a few seconds. Hopefully not now. Oh, come on. All right. Oh,
From when you got to Houston, so I've seen the whole journey, Pat, and I'm going to go through it for the audience because it's as embarrassing as anything that happened last night. From when you got to Houston, I was there. You were thrilled to be in the league. Happiest guy in the world, hanging out at Onyx at 3 in the morning with your ridiculous fake chains because you couldn't get into dreams yet. I understand I was in a similar spot, buddy. And you went from that to whatever you've become, a delusional, cheap shot artist, misogynistic clown promoting your podcast at the expense of your career, which
misogynistic.
while still behind Andy Roddick's tennis podcast and your own teammates pod, you are ahead of Bear Grease by Clay Newcomb. So good luck with it. So how did you get here? And how did Pat Bev become a guy that we talk about despite the basketball reference page? A creation of your own delusion in Houston. One and done every year that you played. You know how they broke through to make the conference finals? I don't know, but I know you were out that year. Then they didn't have another playoff run till they traded you and then promptly made another conference finals. So what happened then? You went to the Clippers and you beat Kevin Durant in a basketball game and talked about it. And then he promptly dropped 50 on you and reminded everyone who he was and who you were. That offseason, you then declared to anyone who would listen, the next 5 years are mine. Steph Curry's had his time. By the way, those 5 years ended literally last night. It's been 5 years since then. How did that go, those 5 years? Well, the first year, what happened in the bubble? You started the bubble by disrespecting Michelle Roberts in front of your colleagues, and they had to talk you down from it. You ended the bubble by being a key part of the biggest gag job in the last 30 years in the NBA. What did you do the next season? The next year? Ty Lue's big adjustment. The one time the Clippers are going on a playoff run. You remember what it was? Sitting your ass on the bench. That's what turned that playoff run around. How did that playoff run end? Oh, yeah. with Chris Paul having the best game of his life on you, and you dealing with it by shoving a man in the back when he wasn't looking, and then going on TV and calling a legend of the game a cone. What then happened after that? 2022, you won your championship. Unfortunately, it was a play-in game, and you celebrated like it was. And then 2023 to 2024, you have been on the Jazz, the Lakers, the Magic, the Bulls, the Sixers, and the Bucks, and not a single one of them wanted to keep you around. And you ended that tenure by throwing a basketball at a woman's head, getting it back, throwing it at another fan, and then yelling at another woman in the locker room because she doesn't listen to your terrible podcast. So if this was your last moment in the league, good riddance. Won't be missed, won't be memorable. I mean, congrats for creating something out of thin air like the Wizard of Oz that never should have existed, to where you're a guy that's talked about, but unnecessary from start to finish, pal. So I've seen...
I'm at a loss for words. I remember everything he said. But the thing that threw me off was, did Pat go at him or something? Because the level of
Thank you.
anger.
Thank you.
The
I would have thought that Pat Beverly punched him in his mouth.
The level of anger I'm listening to, I'm like, Pat, what did you say to Nick, dude? I ain't never seen him like this.
It's like you can hear the start of Ether in the background, bing bing, as he was sitting up there saying his part.
I want to do some research on the misogyny part. I want to know what happened with the women. I want to know what specifically happened with the women that equated to the misogyny. Because here's the one thing I've always known about Pat Bev. Attitude wise, he's old school. He is who he is. He believes what he is who he is. He believes what he believes. He stands on business according to how he feels. And ain't nobody changing his mind. He's a smack talker on the court. He's gonna D you up. And God forbid if he actually shuts you down, then you ain't gonna never be able to get him to shut up. Now, from a point standpoint, you're safe.
Mm-hmm.
That's the other thing I know about him.
Mm-hmm.
From a point standpoint, you're not worried. But he ain't Dennis Rodman, so it didn't equate to wins. It so and I was kind of on the fence about him. I respected his defensive prowess, but because of the fact that he did a lot of the thing with the mouth, which I can understand where Nick was coming from with that, because you know how I feel about that. I don't mind you being a lot of mouth, but I need you to back it all up.
Yep.
So Dwayne Wade, two-way player. He could talk all the smack he want. Why? Because he gonna give it to you on both ends of the floor. James Harden, yeah, I need you not talking as much.
No,
Cause,
James
cause,
never talk.
cause you gonna give it to him on the offensive end, and then he gonna give it to you and then some when you get back down on defense. Okay, no, mm-mm, mm-mm. Luca, mm-mm, mm-mm. We know what you're gonna do down on the offensive end. But you're gonna get owned, whether it's a guard, a forward, anybody that decides they want to go at you while you're D'ing them up. Help! What's that song by the Beatles? Help! I need somebody. Help!
Yep.
It's but now, so you tell me, was it just how angry he was? Or was it some of the stuff that he said too?
It's how angry he was about something as trivial as a conversation and an argument between two players that has nothing to do with him, on top of the way that he started the argument, his cadence of what he talked about, on top of the fact of who was talking in the first place. Because let's be real, the whole first part of that whole diatribe that we just listened to, he could turn that diatribe, look in the mirror and read the exact same diatribe about his goddamn self.
Yeah, I like I said, I became confused. I'm like, dude, what did he do to make you
I
so angry?
I can't. But
Did you
I'm not even
not
going
want
to.
to be talking? I got a feeling now. Now I take that back. I got a feeling he does get like that when there's certain things. If I'm not mistaken, if there's a certain topic he really don't want to talk about, he will go in and he will go in hard.
But even with
So,
that being
but
said, you can't.
I'm not saying he's
This is
right.
the this is the professionalism that I always talk about. To me, you going in at me, even if you was right about it, just the way that your tenor was with that. If I see you at NBA Finals or something, you better be liable that I don't try to choke you up for
Yeah,
coming
because
at me like that.
he was saying a lot of he was saying a
Right?
lot of other stuff that wasn't needed. It's
You
like,
went above journalistic and went petty. The only thing that I've heard that was even pettier than that was the whole Stephen A. toward Jason Whitlock.
oh,
That was way worse than that. But that was
and that's why
getting
you
there.
should never don't get Steven started. That's the one
It
thing
ain't
I
even
know
the fact
about
to get
Stephen A.
Steven started. Steven, when he went at Jason Whitlock, that's been building for over a decade.
And he's done it like multiple
He's
times, and
he's but
it's
he but he sat there. But the difference between a Stephen A. and a Nick Green saying this thing is Stephen A. has built up, right, wrong, or indifferent, the evidence and the cachet against said person. And he's giving the warning saying, leave me alone
yeah,
until that last
yeah.
time frame to where it did that. Nick Wright is pretty much sitting up there doing this as a thought of I need to jump on this bandwagon right now. Let me see how outrageous I can be with my balding permed hair going down to my
But
shoulders.
but in his defense, other than the unnecessary stuff that I heard about, like the what was that with the fake gold chains? Like, dude, we didn't need to stick that part in there. What are we doing?
Right.
It's like
Stay
what are we
factual.
doing? It's like
Stay factual. That's one of his biggest problems. He can't stay factual. He can't stay on the metrics of this is about the stats and everything else. He has to go all into doing all types of other stuff in order to get it
yeah,
into play. And that's
he was yeah, he was yeah. He started throwing some unnecessary uh factual in his mind stuff is like basically how he felt about him, in my opinion, and that's just that kind of stuff is not needed because of the fact that there's so many other better things to do. Talk about
to
tennis,
do.
talk about golf. Don't
Right.
don't
You
don't
took time out to sit there and do that. For what? What was the reason? For what?
well, I mean, Beverly, Patrick Beverly, and I'm not by any means, I'm not defending Patrick Beverly on anything I've said today
No.
because his mouth make it where people come at him. And
But that's been his MO for his entire career.
right. And that's why I'm saying I'm wondering if because basically he did kind of say it. It kind of sounded like he really didn't want to be talking about it. He even hit a part where it literally sounded like that's what he was insinuating. That he was irritated that of all of everybody to be talking about, he was talking about him. And it's
Right.
like so uh, even if I get that, there was still some stuff in there that could have been left out, all facts left in, and some you know, bring it down. Break it down. Yes, Patrick Beverly can be an irritating person. I get it,
But you can't, but
but
that's
you're not
where
out there on the court with him.
right. Because here's the thing. This is the whole thing that I always sit there and say. And this is why certain people I give grace in what they say versus others. Would you say it to their face if you saw them right up on you? Would you say everything that you said right then and there? Be it on a basketball court, on a street, in a dark alley. Would you say the exact same things you said there? It's real easy to be tough behind a keyboard or behind a television screen. But you best be damn skippy. When they see each other out in the street together, they better hope that they pass don't cross. And you know when they're coming up with the playoffs and everything else, they pass is probably going to cross.
You know who else just had a conversation about that? Marcellus Wiley. He was commenting on Emmanuel, and he brought up the fact that Emmanuel brought up the fact that people thought that him and Marcellus had an issue. Now, Ocho now Emmanuel don't think that they have an issue. Marcellus is like, nah, there was an issue. I know what I know, how I know, but nah, it wasn't nothing that I was gonna let go there. And when I said stuff that I said about you, it wasn't me going at you. It was just me pointing out what had already been said.
Right.
And Acho brought up the fact that they saw each other. Apparently, according to whenever the podcast, he saw him like a couple of nights ago, and everything was cool. And he was like, "Yeah, everything was cool because I wasn't what happened back then happened back then. I'm beyond it. I'm past it. So I know who I am. I know what my career path has said. I've never been fired from any of the places." And he started rattling off all the organizations.
Wait a minute. Who said they hadn't been fired?
Wiley.
He a damn lie. He got fired from ESPN. See, a lot of people fail to realize that stuff. Let's get some facts straight.
The way
the way he trying to say it was that his contract was up, right?
I'll try to find it and I'll try to send it to you. But yeah, he said he said he had never been fired.
So let's call a spade a spade. If your contract is up and your employer chooses not to renew it, what is that technically called in black people terms? You've been let go. Your services was not retained. You are no longer an asset to the team.
Yeah, the way he worded it, if I'm not mistaken, he knew his contract was about to be up, and he told them that he was going to leave or something like that. Like I said, I'll have to find it, which it won't be hard. I'll jump on YouTube when the show's over, and I'll send it to you. And yeah, but
the only other way I will sit there and say that is this. What do we normally do when we know the writing's on the wall and they about to fire our ass?
Get out of Dodge.
We quit. So him saying, yeah, I had that situation and I was getting ready to go leave, and I just went ahead and just decided I was gonna go leave.
It's all in the wording.
It's all in the technicalities. And the technicalities breeds a whole bunch of, yeah, I can shine up a turd any type of way. Still a turd. That's why I don't understand it. I don't get their lust for being in that mentality of it. Of where we go. Well, yeah, they told me that that I'm good. I should be great. I could be doing whatever I want to. And they gave me all these things. And let's be real. How many shows has he had on because is he even on Fox Sports anymore?
No, he isn't. No, he walked away from them too. He does his own podcast. Yeah, yeah, he's been doing his own podcast for
So
years.
you pretty much became Jason Whitlock.
But he goes in on all of them, and he when he knows when he knows ha- he's kind of like me in the fact that um based upon knowing a person, he'll point out where they wrong and point out where they right. Like this whole thing, the entire time that's been going on between Stephen A. and Jason Whitlock, he knows stuff on because he's worked at all the organizations. He knows stuff on Jason. He knows stuff on Stephen A. And this
I
latest
don't
thing
think Jason knows enough on Steven. See, and here I'm cutting you off there because here's the thing.
no, I'm talking about Wiley.
I don't think Wiley does because I'll tell you why. Wiley was there when Beetle was there, and Wiley's successful show was with him and Kellerman when he was on radio.
Mm-hmm.
Television was never Wiley's biggest thing. It was he had a little bit of a show where he had it with the television part of it, but it was primarily radio with him and Kellerman. And then Michelle Beadle and him was cool with everything else. When Michelle Beadle went down with her antics that she did when she lost her job, Wiley was already in limbo because Kellerman had went over this first take. They used Wiley as one of the people that came in and do the spots for first take. It didn't mesh well. So I don't think Wiley has the cachet to say. I don't even think Wiley has the same cachet as Whitlock because Whitlock at least had the journalistic side in there for it. The problem with Whitlock is that Whitlock then took a lot of his relationships that he didn't had in the industry and flushed it completely down the toilet. And there is not too many people in this world. Honest for God, there's two people in this world for a while there that I said there was nothing that could be redeemable from the things and the antics that they said and they did. That was Kanye West and Jason Whitlock. Kanye West somehow has made it to where he's starting to at least a little bit get a little bit of grace. Jason Whitlock would not have a drop of water spout dropped on him if he was on fire in the middle of the Sahara.
Unless
Because
Cam's somewhere nearby.
right. Yeah, unless Cam Newton's there. He might
Okay,
pee.
like
Anyway.
okay.
But
Okay. Okay,
that's just because Jason
yeah.
Whitlock, his divisiveness and the way that he goes about his about it turns off the journalistic side of it to where even if you are spitting facts, don't nobody want to hear you.
That and some of the stuff he be saying, I'm still trying to figure out if I were to ever be able to interview him or talk to him, I need to know what was going through his head when he started describing. Now, you're supposed to be this big Christian that you promoting, and you described
Joy.
What, dude? What was that? What was that? God didn't put a hand on you and go, no, like kind of do you like
But that
Brian
right there,
did Peter
is a
on
microcosm of it because you sitting up here talking about all the bad things that she did, but knowing you was probably doing that description and you made sure you zoomed in so nobody could see any type of arm or hand motions underneath the damn camera.
Dude, that was insane. It's it was like, look, I don't even knowing what she did. Every time I think about what he said, I'm like, you really
You
thought
made
that was
it.
a good idea? Like
You
nothing
thought
in
it
your
was a good
brain,
idea
nothing in
to
your
interject.
Christian morality said, don't say that. just
In
don't.
your Christian, but in your Christian morality and the hater that's in you, because she probably walked past you and said, and kept going. and everybody that you sucked up to, no pun intended, she sucked up to. It made it to where she became the star, and you was looking for a job.
Yeah.
You can't get mad. You can get mad. You can get frustrated. You can say whatever you want to about it. At the end of the day, your merit is based off of what you do behind that pen, in front of that camera, and on that microphone. Not all the other BS into trying to tear down somebody and everything that you deal with in order to get to where you at. Because obviously it hasn't gotten you to where you wanted to be at, because you still don't have nowhere to go. You still struggling. You should be on the There should be no reason why at your time frame, you in the era of Wilbon and and Platsky and all of them. You're in that era. And they all well off. You struggling to try to stay relevant. Stop trying to stay relevant. Stop trying to hop on everything. You are the quintessential attention whore. As soon as something comes out that might draw you some views or likes to your platform, you're jumping on it, even if you have no idea what it's about. Just to sit up there and say, Jason Whitlock had something to say with it. He would probably jump in to, he probably got a post somewhere out there in social media talking about Pooh Shiesty and Gucci Mane, knowing good and well he couldn't name a Gucci Mane song if his life depended on it.
Yeah, I'm kind of guilty of that too. I know I've listened to some, but I haven't
Oh
listened
yeah,
to them in
everybody
so
didn't listen
long.
to him, but he'll probably sit up there and be up there like, and it's a travesty that somebody would set up somebody just to get out of a contract like that, and he was just out of federal pen and everything, and I would be that person in the comments. So name me a Pooh Shiesty song. What was Gucci Mane diagnosed with that he wrote a book about? Let's take it off of wax. Let's go into paperbacks, because obviously in whatever cabinet you in, you probably got some books, or you got Amazon to where you got a reader, you got a Kindle somewhere. Let's see if you can pull this up on your Kindle. Do your research.
All right.
Him, Nick Wright and Jason Whitlock just makes my skin crawl.
I get where you coming from, especially on times like that with Nick. That was weird. I'm used to him saying things that get Broussard, like have Broussard up in arms, but that was something different. But moving on, let's see here. Do you think that Jalen Hurts is going to be in Philly after this year?
Yes. Yes. I wish people would stop trying to create the narratives against a player because they don't like how the player goes about
I mean, they did it to Russ.
this thing. But here's the thing. When they did it to Russ, Russ was on the back end. And Russ didn't have his safety blanket, which was his coach. With Jalen Hurts, they have to realize something.
And
Jalen Hurts,
they seem to be throwing him under the bus now, because like this article that I sent to you in the chat is saying that um the reason why he hasn't gotten an extension yet is because they they want to see that he can.
so then let's call a spade right now, because we got two quarterbacks that are up for extensions right now, which means they got 2 years left in their deals. You got on one hand a quarterback that has been to 3 Super Bowls and won 2,
No,
or
two and one.
been into 1-1, and one that has never been to a Super Bowl. But the one that has never been to a Super Bowl was paid more than the one that did. Mm-hmm. Because he got the MVP.
Yeah, but that it wasn't it also his contract that got him that money?
No. Jalen Hurts' contract that he got. Let me pull that up. Slide over to computer 3.
Because after they went to that Super Bowl, he signed a contract, right?
I believe so.
And then that whole thing, after he got that money, Lamar tried to do a holdout that I remember because he wanted his money higher, and he got something around that area, but it wasn't like what Deshaun got. And Deshaun got his money because of all the money that Hurts got.
Come on, type. Jalen Hurts contract.
And then that's when people like Shady and them started questioning, like, hey, y'all handing out all these checks to all these quarterbacks, and all these quarterbacks is not all that great.
But here's the thing, and this is why everybody's saying the same thing. Jalen Hurts, they're saying that they could soon part ways, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. Okay, so that means you are banking on, and let's play this entire scenario out.
Okay.
Jalen Hurts is in, you don't want to extend him. He's got, let me find the contract. He signed a 5-year, $255 million extension with the Philadelphia Eagles on April 2023. So he's in year 3 of that contract, featuring $179.3 million guaranteed and an APY of $51 million. The contract runs through 2028, includes a $23.294 million signing bonus and a full no trade clause. So he can't be traded. So let's take the without approving it. So let's take that off the books. His cap hit this season would be $31.9 million. His cash out would be $51.5 million for this season. Okay, so $51.5 million. You don't extend him. His contract expires through 2028. So he still has 3 full seasons underneath that contract. So you let him go. Who are you going to get to replace him?
Good question.
Who are you going to get to replace him that's going to keep you in that same ilk of being in that upper echelon of the NFC East and the NFC to try to make it back to the Super Bowl, that you're not going to end up paying close to what you were just paying in order to get him when they hit free agency? Oh, by the way, how many of the top level quarterbacks in the league in their prime hit free agency from the team that originally drafted
him?
Right. So if you're going to say him, so what are you going to do? You're going to do a 1-for-1 swap him for Lamar?
I wouldn't.
But that's pretty much your only option unless you're drafting a rookie quarterback and getting a rookie deal and hoping that you hit strike gold with him. And that's Russian roulette. Because let's be honest, the only season where Jalen Hurts didn't put up the numbers that he should have was the year before they won the Super Bowl. Whereas we're sitting up here having this same conversation over in Baltimore.
Last year wasn't that great either, but
yeah, last year wasn't that great, but it still was. Last year wasn't that great because the offensive line wasn't at the same level as it was, and they keyed in on his running game because they let Gainwell go. They really didn't have, that was their number 2, and they never really had a good running game to support him. He has to have a running game in order to be able to be successful. He can't be the number 2 running back behind Barkley.
Right.
And that's what he was, behind a weak line. Now, in that same instance, you got Lamar Jackson over here, who has 2 years left on his deal with a whole new regime.
And one
whole new offensive coordinator. And he wants an extension. And besides winning MVPs, what has he done?
He made it to one AFC championship.
Right. And then and right up the beltway, you got somebody that went to two, won two of them, and won a Super Bowl. But y'all want to get rid of him with 3 years left on his deal.
Yeah, I need to know who he's making mad because now all of a
It
sudden
ain't even the fact.
it
I
it
think this is
it
to me, with all the rumblings that's in there, it's either one or two things. Either because the whole talk about AJ Brown getting out of there has died down, because one, like I said, nobody's going to want an aging wide receiver diva. And they sold that. Everybody was saying, well, AJ Brown's gonna get traded. Everybody, all these pundits on the 4-letter network, the 3-letter network, and all these blog spots was sitting up there banking on the fact of AJ Brown was gonna get traded. We got the draft in what, 3 weeks? And ain't no way in hell AJ Brown's gonna get traded because nobody wants the headache.
mm-hmm.
So now, okay, we can't keep on banging on and here the other part of it. Everybody's banging on the fact of AJ Brown and then now Jalen Hurts. Nobody's talking about how the defense got picked apart in free agency.
Yep. Yeah,
so now you're pretty much sitting there talking about, okay, well, dang, now we gotta sit here and we gotta find something to talk about. Who's the number one target for any type of correspondence about trades, not being happy, wanting to go somewhere, they're not good in the locker room, everything else. The first person that is easy pickings is the quarterback. And you're going after Jalen for what?
Well, I mean, me and you talked about it, and I need to know what happened in that locker room because even if you tell me that even if we agree that the offensive line has something to do with it, that wasn't a complete picture. Something else was going on because the
It
level of
was the
talent that
biggest,
we know that he capable of, the
but
level of
the
talent that we know that AJ is capable of, and that we know that Devontae is capable of, and the best and the person that was most consistent was your tight end.
But everybody fails to realize the number one reason why the fall off was there. Their offensive coordinator went out the door.
And
And they did not hire somebody that was directly under Kellen Moore to do it. They moved somebody from another position in order to do it.
yeah, wasn't he like the quarterback coach?
Yeah, but you're giving a whole different philosophy on what to do. You're taking somebody's whole mentality of how they feel like you should matriculate the ball down the field versus what was there that just won a Super Bowl. It's not going to be the same. So it kills me how the players get blamed for it, but nobody understands the fact that in Jalen Hurts' career since he's been there,
He's changed coordinators
he's had
like
10
my
different
youngest used
offensive
to.
coordinators.
Yeah,
10.
he's changed coordinators like my youngest son used to change teachers in 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 school. Yeah,
His offensive coordinators from Alabama, he had Kiffin and Sarkisian. Then he had Dayball and Loxley. Then he had Loxley and Gaddis. Then he had Lincoln Riley when he went to Oklahoma. Then when he came to the NFL, he had Doug Peterson, who was the head coach and the play caller. Then he had Steichen and Sirianni. Then he had Steichen when Sirianni got bumped up. Brian Johnson, Kellen Moore, Kevin Patullo, and now Sean Mannion. He's never had the same coordinator back-to-back years.
yeah, and I've always factored that into, but again, people want to win, especially if you getting paid and you're supposed to be so great, then they want to see it. They
And this is the last thing when it comes to this. So
yeah
now let's think about this here. So
Okay.
I just told you for the past 10 years, this man had a different play call for the past 10 years, and he's been to 2 Super Bowls and won one, right?
Right.
The other person that we put in this argument for Lamar Jackson, since Lamar Jackson came into the NFL, he had Martin Morningwig in 2018. He had Greg Roman from 2019 to 2022. Then he had Todd Monken from 23 to 25. In the same span that Jalen Hurts had 10, this man then had 3. So has the system changed? No. But you can't get no results. But you make more than what Jalen Hurts do. And you up for a contract extension where you trying to maximize your contract extension. Come on now. People need to stop playing. This ain't Madden. You're not running a franchise with that. Just because the player doesn't do things the way you want them to. I thought the bottom line was we're in the playoffs and we're successful. We didn't see movies where the quarterback has been a jerk, a piece of shit, whatever it was. But as long as he was winning, they didn't care.
Right.
So why do we care now? Why? Because at the end of the day,
Philly wasn't winning.
right? But Philly
win.
still made the playoffs. So let's call a spade. If Philly goes 13 and if they go 14-3 this year, are you not going to extend them because you don't like them? Or there's something in the locker room that's building it. There's something in the locker room that's building that all thing. You will if you're willing to sit there and take as an owner, if you're willing to sit there and say, I went 14-3, made it back to an NFC championship, but I'm not going to re-sign my quarterback that got me there because I feel like I have no he's not working well with the team, and I have no backup plan already in place in order for me to keep the ball rolling, and you're in Philadelphia, within 2 to 3 years, everybody in that whole regime will get fired. If they don't touch this playoffs in that. And then what's going to happen is the pundits that are the people that are not educated in what they do, like we are, will sit there and turn around and be up to like, well, if they wouldn't have never let Jalen Hurts go, then they would have still been able to sustain everything for it. Because revisionist history is always right.
Hindsight's 2020.
that when I seen that one, it's been a lot of things the past couple of days where I've been seeing it, and I've just been like, are you serious? Is it that slow right now to where y'all drawing up controversy just to try to get clicks?
No, I just it's one thing when it's coming from people on the internet. But then when stuff starts leaking out of the organization.
But see, that's the thing. If it's leaking out of the organization, have the balls to put your name behind it.
You know they ain't gonna do that.
Right. But every time, most of the time, how they say when it's smoke that there's fire, right?
Right.
But most of the time with a lot of these people, they're holding up they holding up a big lighter up in the air like they're in a concert, waving it from side to side, trying to get some smoke. And all it takes in this day and age is for one of them people that's sitting in that room or sitting in that area or they best buddies with somebody that knows somebody or something else to even sit there and see that light flickering in that cubicle, and they'll sit there like, hey, we got a story. They talking about this, and then it hits and it takes off. Because all they got to do is hashtag Jalen Hurts. It's all over the place.
Because you got people that like him and people that don't.
They don't. And it's in controversy sells. And that's what that would be.
Right. So that article that you sent me about Elliot Cadeau, I just I read over it before we were gonna go over it real quick. And I was gonna tell you this last night. We're talking two different conversations to me, and I'll explain why.
Okay.
Remember when he was at Carolina, him and the other guard that was there, they both did the same thing, and pissed me off to no end because they always got called for offensive fouls. They were leaning in with the shoulder, or they were leaning in with the shoulder and extending the arm. Now, please explain to me what that has to do with a coach that is coaching you every second. To me, that don't have nothing to do. To
Yeah.
me, that's where people that questioned his coaching and the lacking, to me, that would point right there. Because if you're a coach, they shouldn't be doing that all season. So
No.
that's where, to me, that's where the lacking came in. I don't feel that has anything to do with the fact that, oh, well, he won't let him play. No, he's letting him play. No, he ain't. Then why has he been going the whole season, spending most of it getting called for the same offensive foul that's hurting the team, him and his counterpart? So you got two people on the court that are making the same mistake. They're looking at the ref like the ref is screwing up, but the ref is doing his job. And as soon as he sees you do it, even if it looked like it, even if it looked like didn't look like it there was a charge, they're calling you for it because you're not supposed to do it. And you keep doing it, so you keep making it easier for them. That now that they're so looking for it that they see it every time you do it, so you can barely get into the offense because you want to dig your shoulder in to make space when you know that they're calling that if you really bull rush that shoulder, or if you extend that arm all the way out. You were doing both. So if he was really hindering you, why wasn't he hindering you there? I don't see, I from every Michigan game I've watched, I haven't seen him play like that once. He's more of a team oriented player. No more of
Mm-hmm.
that ISO crap that I saw in North Carolina with him and the other guard as well as the other players. And he's thriving.
Yep.
So I don't agree with that whole assessment of it. Maybe somebody needs to go back and we need to sit down and watch some games so that you can point out to me what you're talking about, because what I was seeing that was hurting North Carolina is not what I'm seeing in Michigan, and now he's on the verge of being a national champion.
I
So
get I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying on there. But you kind of went with the topic along with what you said. And here's the reason why. I'm not, when I made the statement last week about the play style between Davis's coaching and May's coaching in there with that, you highlighted the fact of Hubert Davis, right, wrong, or indifferent. There was numerous times to where that offense looked like that ISO ball that we can't stand it even in the NBA that was in there for it. And who has control of that offense? Hubert Davis. So if you have a player that's in a scheme to where his whole thing is, I gotta drop my shoulder in. I got or I gotta create the space because I gotta create the space in order to create and then kick, because that's what the offense is set up as. Versus another offense with a coach that's saying you don't have to isolate. Get the ball, push the pace, drive and kick. If you got a shot, take the shot. If not, go and distribute. Whatever you do, I would rather have you, like they said during the game on Saturday, I would rather have you 2 for 14, keep shooting, and keep making the decisions that you're making in order to have you at almost 10 assists by halftime. Your shot's going to fall eventually, then getting the personal fouls because you're trying to create, once you get in the half court scheme and they're one the defense is compacted in and you trying to get some space in there from the ball. It's the coaching styles of it that one of the hardest things that I think a lot of coaches don't realize, and it ties into what Calipari was saying in that round table discussion that they had on Saturday with College Game Day, and from hearing Calhoun speak and hearing some of the other coaches speak in there for it. You have to go get players that fit your scheme, not just grab the top talent. Because what's happening is that you can have a coach that sits there and gets the top talent and the number one recruit in each position that's in there for it. But you might have a center. You might get a center that likes to be in the post. Or no, matter of fact, let's change it around. You got a defending point guard that likes to shoot threes but can't drive. You got a shooting guard that likes to drive, but he can't play defense, and his mid-range is developing. You got all around 5'2" small forward. You got a power forward that likes to play on the block, and you got a center that likes to be a stretch 5. How can you make that work? Because at the end of the day, your center, who should be in there trying to grab rebounds, is out on the perimeter. Your point guard, who should be driving in order to get anything in there. Yes, there's no tall person because they out there with the center, but if the small forward is not movable enough in order for him to get out of the way of the person that's driving, that's going to cause an issue. It's going to be a mess. But you got the top ranked persons in there for it. And they wonder why it don't mesh. With Hubert Davis in that situation with North Carolina was that he had players. He had players that every year, there's not been a year that North Carolina's not been ranked when they came into the daggone preseason. But he could never make it mesh into something that made it work because in his head, he was, I'm going to let my guards dictate everything. They get ISO. If they can create, they can score. If they can't, they'll find one of the people, one of the 3 through 5, and let them get a shot up, or the 3 through 5 will get their points off of rebounds.
And it also helped that Michigan actually had bigs.
Right. And Michigan got bigs that know their positions. That screen and roll destroyed Arizona that entire game. They center would come to the top, set the screen, and as soon as the Arizona player touched him, he was rolling behind him. There was so many lobs where he just went right over their head and just dunked it right over the place. They made it look like it was playing a video game. And if he didn't have it off the lob, he would catch it, come down, and then look for a kick out and go out to a three-point shooter, and the three-point shooter would sit there and hit.
Right.
And they was destroying him.
Yeah. So now what I was going off of was what the mom said, like in the comments. So that's what I was talking about. What you were talking about, that there's nothing that I can say to dispute that, because that was a lot of what I saw that got on my nerves. We talked about it last year, and I told you from the beginning of last year, I did not like their backcourt, and I did not foresee them going very far as long as the backcourt was playing the way they was. And I wasn't wrong. Mm-hmm. It wasn't hate. Like I said, you gonna call me a hater? You can't call me a bandwagon dude. I've been a fan since Dean Smith. Make it make sense if you are gonna say that.
Right. So everything that they had, everything that North Carolina had, they had something to where it was. Yeah, they had something to where it was. The whole culture of it, from whoever the point guard was in there, he had control, and he was able to dictate it from there. But it was never to the point to where it was ISO ball like it was.
Yeah,
even when Joe Barry,
so ridiculous. Pro or
even when Joe Barry was
so
there,
ridiculous.
Barry wouldn't even play ISO ball like that, and Barry was underneath Davis. He couldn't do it, and it seemed like every single point guard they brought in after the fact could not play outside of ISO ball, and it was like, what are we doing? And but then you see them transfer and they go other places. You like, where was that there? And anytime if you ever have to question why player X plays differently here than what he did there, and his shot selection, everything else doesn't look like it changed, it's just the demeanor of how he goes about it, you got to look at the coach. And that's what got him fired. it's not the fact of he's not a good coach. It's just that his scheme and his thought process and the changing dynamic of college basketball made it to where he would not succeed.
Yeah, he wouldn't adapt. But let's see here. A quick kudos. This one will be quick because I know you ain't gonna want to talk much about it. A quick kudos to the Auburn Tigers who last night late they won they won the NIT. It got a little dicey there at the end. Tulsa definitely screwed the pooch because they had it. It was 8.8 seconds left. They had it. It was theirs. And they let it go and it went to overtime and Auburn did what anybody's supposed to do. Like, wait a minute, you had us dead to rights and you didn't take advantage of it? Oh well, your fault. Moving on. And Charles went from, I swear, they showed it was 8.8 seconds left. They showed Charles on the sideline. He was hunched forward, got his hands just rubbing his bald head, and he just looking up like, man, what the hell? And he went from that to overtime came. They got the lead. He's stopping players. He's stepping out on the court to give players dap.
He was having fun. He's that excited for them to be team number 69. Team number 69. Huh.
That's why I said Charles, man. I swear to God, I just he always have a moment, and the commentator even said something about it. Like, yeah, I'm about to talk to Charles about interrupting our game. And the other dude was like, "Yeah, you do that." It's like, yeah, that's all you. I'm not having that conversation. Not with Charles. Yeah, I don't recommend it either. So, I mean, depending on what you say now, if you're being cool, that's one thing. If it's all laughs, that's one thing. But please remember, this is Charles.
Right. This is still Charles. I mean, we have to make sure we
All right.
understand. Still
I'm gonna
Charles.
do this last one, and then we're gonna jump into the prediction part and what we thought of NCAA's this weekend and the girls' game yesterday, and then we'll be done.
All right.
This one is Larry Johnson, and he was on All the Smoke, and Steven Jackson asked him about what happened with the UNLV Duke game. Where? What the? What's going on? Oh, never mind. That's my fault.
I lost the game. I lost the game. In 91, Final Four, y'all started 34-0 before losing to Duke. Grant Hill, Bobby Hurley, Christian Laettner. I say this all the time. I lost the game. I lost the game. Now I say this to Greg, and he go bullshit it. Everybody go bullshit. No, we did this, we did that. But being the number one player in college that year, everyone here, all the smoke, I lost the game. I didn't play hard. I was out there lallygagging on 70, 80%, thinking we playing somebody we just beat by 30 the year before. But it was close the whole game, and it wasn't with me. We up 4, we up 5, then they're tired of we go on that little run again. But I was lollygagging. I was thinking about the league. Yeah, man. I said this before. I'm not snitching on. I said this before. I always say I lost that game. And at the end, should I shot the ball? Absolutely. I should have shot the ball and choked. I never heard that. I should have shot the ball and choked. Say that all the time.
So I understand his candor for it. And am I shocked about it? No. Because everybody knew that UNLV team was like that. That UNLV team, even if you watch the 30 for 30, they ran roughshod. They did what they wanted to. So I'm not mad at that whole semblance when it comes down to that. What I'm more it's more along the lines of now to where at this point it's been done for almost 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
You had a good career.
Yeah.
I won't say great because
Could
the
have been, but
injuries
them
took its
injuries.
toll. Right. But you had one of the best gimmicks in the world with Grandmama.
Yep.
I'm not gonna knock that. But that regret part now, it's like, what do I do? Why do I have to regret what I'm doing every time that every time it's asked about it?
Well,
To me, it would be that question. When if somebody was to ask me that question, knowing that it still bothered me to this point, it would be a strictly a straight. You know what? It makes me mad when I think about it. There's some things that I wish I could have changed in there for it, but you know, what I'm saying it is what it is. We all thrived off of it. Kudos to Duke for beating us in that game and let it go.
but that's the thing. I think that's the problem. Because to this day, matter of fact, I think there's even the 30-30 that I'm gonna have to get around to we're gonna have to get around to doing that of figuring out how to do the show thing. We'll talk about it.
Mm.
Um that show is still floating of that game and and
Mm-hmm.
and, and Christian Leitner. So I personally my competitive spirit knows why I feel like I know why it still seems like he's holding on to it. You can hear it in his voice. It's like I could have stopped that. I been playing 100% of what I knew I was capable of, there would be no however many years talk about Christian Leitner and the shot
True.
and regret. When you're real with yourself and you're accountable for yourself, that can be a demoralizing thing.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, you factor in, like we said, he had a good career. Should have been great because when he was out there on the floor and he was available, he was great. But the injuries kept taking him down and made his career not as good as it was. And I was I was afraid for that game. I knew what UNLV was doing all year, and I'm like, oh God, it's like, is this really about to happen? So when the game turned out the way it did, I'm like, holy crap. And
Yeah.
and this goes to show another thing. When people know what they're watching, just be quiet.
Yeah.
No, I shouldn't say be quiet because everybody got a right to speak.
No, I'm trying to be quiet.
Everybody got a right to speak, but if you speaking strictly from a defense of, hey, we gotta back our brothers, that part I need you to be quiet on. Now, if you want to debate me based upon the game, based upon what actually happened in the game, because a lot of what he just went through is a lot of what I be talking about when I be seeing what I be seeing because I be looking for the signs. That's why I be paying attention. I don't just look at somebody, see their attitude, and just make an assumption. I see how your attitude influences your play. And then where does that leave y'all on the wins and the losses? And then where does that leave you on championships? I try as best as possible to look at the whole entire picture. Because there's a lot of people that have an attitude that you may not necessarily like. Some are champions, most are not. And then that's when you got to start deep diving into, okay, what else am I missing from this? Coaching, player relationship. Because player relationship is important because they all got to get out there and play together. Whether it's a baseball field, football field, unless you playing tennis or golf, the chemistry and the friendship or the relationship has to be at least on a friendly level to where everybody's going to be out there and be on one accord. If it's not, then the team that does have that more than the other team that doesn't have it as much is probably going to win more often than not.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I get where you're coming from, and it was sobering to hear a player actually admit that.
Admit, yeah, yeah, that was sobering. That to hear one legitimately sit there and say, "I can't, I messed up and everything." You don't you accountability is a great thing, and I will always sit there and say that. I my only fear is when accountability is done to garner attention onto you for taking accountability about it. Don't if you're doing it for yourself in order to be a mea culpa to yourself and to the people that was directly involved in it, cool. But if you're doing it and it's been you done had so much time in order to do this, and now all of a sudden it's coming out that you're doing that, sometimes it rings hollow because it's like, are you doing this because you're in the if you're out in the public sphere, you're trying to drum up attention for something or anything else? Is that why you're mentioning it now? And this is and especially around this time frame where everybody's been showing the replay of the shot. They was talking about Mullis's shot last week was almost the equivalent of the Leitner shot that got to that point with that and everything with it. With it all coming back to light, now all of a sudden you sitting there saying, "Well, if I would have played 100%, I would have been we wouldn't even have that story." We
Well,
all
no,
know Christian. We
well,
all know Christian Leitner. That's the only thing realistically Christian Leitner has to hang his career on.
yeah, because him like a lot of the other
A
Duke
lot
and
of
North
the
Carolina players,
darlings of
it
college basketball don't do nothing when they get to the pros.
yeah. So with that, yeah, I just like I said, I appreciate him. I appreciate him doing that. Yeah, let's go ahead and let's start talking this weekend. Mm, mm,
Yeah, yeah,
mm.
yeah.
Um, the girls, congratulations to UCLA. I personally felt like as much talent as I saw on Texas, I felt like UCLA was another level. I felt like they were definitely going to be Texas. I was like you said, I thought it was going to be them and Connecticut, but I have to say, and I'm going to be like completely honest, if even if UConn would have beat uh South Carolina, which they should have, but they stopped doing what got them the lead going into halftime, and it made me so mad. That young lady, I believe her name is Strong.
Yeah.
She was down in the post, and then all of a sudden, the second half, she was always coming up making picks, and she was never going back down to the post no more. And I'm like,
Because they started shooting threes out the ass.
I'm like, what are you doing? Yeah, but they had to start doing that because they were banking on the the guards to get to the hole, but that's not what got you the lead. What got
No.
that's only part of what got you the lead. Let me rephrase. That's part of what got you the lead. The guards going to the hole and the centers because that young lady uh number 8 for South Carolina with the Afro puffs.
Yeah.
She all rock rough and stuff with her Afro puffs. She she's a tough customer. And if you don't give her much work to do on the defensive end, that was another thing that was killing them, the turnovers. Because they were making ill-advised passes. And I'm like, what are y'all doing? And I felt bad for the one young lady because before the game was even over, and they had to, and Strong and a couple of other players had to
When
like
she started crying.
get her to hold her head up. Yeah, because she was like, man, I messed up. I'm like, well, I mean, you kind of did, but this ain't all on you. And and the karma came. Whatever that whole thing, Gino was wrong. But whatever that whole start, whatever made him feel whatever he felt, the karma came last night's game
I
because
can't say that.
I understood where he was coming from
Did
because
you?
I,
Because they
I understood
go
part of
ahead.
it. What he was complaining about at halftime about how Don Staley was addressing the refs.
But have you watched Don Staley on the sidelines any other game? That's Don
A
Staley.
chosen right, a
Right.
chosen few. Yeah, that's her.
Yeah, that's
And
her.
and
And he's been across the aisle from her
to
beforehand.
to me, that was more of to an extent. I feel like that was more of the fact that he didn't know how to get the girls, his girls, to lock back in because the look on his face.
Was one of a coach that got punched in the mouth and couldn't figure out what to do in order to stop the bleeding.
Right. And this is the part where I said karma came full circle, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's the exact look. And I
That
noticed
she
it.
had
I
yesterday.
noticed it in the second quarter. I
Yeah.
knew. I said, yeah, this game's over. Cause
But the
cause she
difference
went from being her feisty self.
to where she was like, "Oh my God."
Yeah,
When I turned on the game yesterday and I was looking at it, when I caught the score, I said, "Ooh." And I went and I'm watching it because I'm at Easter. I'm sitting up there. I got it on my phone. I'm looking down at it and I'm like, they are doing the exact same. They are bullying the bully that knocked out UConn,
and
and that's what it was.
to me the main reason why they bullied him was specifically what I just talked about. They were always inside outside, inside outside. They take you to
Yeah.
the hole. They hitting threes. You don't know. There's nothing you can guard. But Raven Johnson and the young lady, number 8 with the Afro puffs, defensively they were so tough and so relentless, and the ball was squarely being left in the hands of the guards. The guards couldn't handle it.
Mm-mm.
And for some
No.
odd reason, there was no pivot to go back to what got them that lead going to halftime, which was hit strong down low, get it to her in the right spot so that she could instantly turn around and put it in the rim. That's what got y'all to the lead, or setting a quick pick and then the guard heading straight to the rim and hitting the right angle so that the ball actually goes in the rim. A lot of the defense speeds people up.
Yep.
Even saw it with UConn. We eventually saw it with South Carolina. Defense, tenacious defense. The longer it happens, it speeds people up because they get frantic. They're like, "Crap! I got to do something
I
to
got to
get
do
us
something
back
to
back
stop
back
it
in the
to keep
game."
you off.
And then that's where your 3 pointers. Because the worst thing that happened to UConn was they started hitting some 3 pointers. Because then for a while, that's all they were taking. And I'm looking at my phone like, "What the are you doing? This is not how y'all play." And then they kept showing Gino's face. And like I said, even though I didn't have the volume up, I saw what he said about halftime. So I know what part of there are certain people that carry themselves in a certain way, and they make the fatal mistake of expecting everybody to act that way. But then the part that gets screwy is where you don't bring it up until you lose it. You didn't say
And,
nothing about it. You wasn't worried about it when you were winning, but when you started losing and more fouls started getting called on you because your players were making mistakes, they were getting sped up, they were getting anxious, and it started equating the fouls, and the refs was calling them. Now you're calling stuff out. That's why it's best if you're gonna call it out all the time.
and it's
But bottom line, they got outplayed. They flat out got outplayed. That defense was tenacious, and there's something that happened that I should have changed my pick. After they won that game before the Final Four game, the young lady Miss Strong, the way she was talking, it was like she knew that South Carolina was going to be a challenge. And it was weird because I'm like, wait, you coming off a win and your demeanor, you don't seem all that happy and you talking really cryptic and it sounds like you worried about South Carolina.
because they knew eh, Strong was on the team last year. That when Beckers went and blitzed them and ran them out the building last year, because this is South Carolina's third time in the final,
Yeah.
I think in a row.
Yeah.
So when they got blitzed last year, because South Carolina, the last 2 years, they didn't got blitzed in the championship.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that she knew from, and see, that's the thing about it now. You play with some of these girls with the USA select teams and things like that, to where you probably got a text message right before that game. You know, we coming for you, right? We want that because here's the, and I think that's part of the letdown that happened with South Carolina as well. South Carolina wanted to beat the streak, and they did everything that they could to beat the streak, but they didn't finish. They didn't leave anything in the tank in order to finish the job. And you gotta remember, you gotta think about it from this standpoint. This is the one part about the women's tournament that I don't like. The women's tournament, the first 2 weekends is a Friday, Saturday, one round, Sunday, Monday, second round, until they get to the final four. So you might play a game on a Monday in the final in the Elite Eight and turn around and have to go and play on a Friday night on the final four and then a Sunday afternoon for the championship. So you flip the entire schedule on its ear for their final four, so they're not in competition with the men. Because the men have to have it on Monday. Mm-hmm. So if you bust your ass, and that was the first game in there, you busted your ass, you had that whole thing with the whole dust up. You did everything you were supposed to do with UConn, and you beat the streak. You ended the 54 game streak. We did it. We celebrate. And they had to turn around and had a morning walkthrough that Saturday and had a probably an 8 a.m. wake up to go to the arena to be ready to go for a championship game they was in Phoenix, so at noon during the day. Mm-hmm. I'm not making excuses because Don didn't make no excuses. Don sat there and said, and this is the other part. Don said, we got punched in the mouth. It was nothing we could do. Today, UCLA was the better squad.
They did because as much and the reason why I felt like I told you before, the reason why I felt like UCLA was going to beat Texas, I had watched Texas play and they bigs was pretty good. But they bigs the team as a whole, chemistry wise, like
yeah,
you literally could not, you had to guard everybody. So for Carolina, that's going to be a problem because they got bigs that play like bigs, and they're gonna bully you like bigs. Betts is she gonna do all of that, and to have number 8, because baby girl is tough. She tough, and when uh when she can out muscle you on defense, that just opens her up to like really light you up on offense because that energizes her. But she couldn't do nothing with Betts, and they didn't have anybody else that they could switch off, so that took her out of the game. And then their other forwards were doing their job. keeping them away from the basket, and when they had opportunity, bodying them up and taking them to the hole. So it's like, okay, so the only one you could really count on was the one guard, and was Raven and the other guard, and they was pretty much having to put so much down on defense and trying to get steals that only one of them was effective on the offensive end. And had UConn played to all their strengths, including their bigs, which is what got them that lead going into halftime, had they stuck with that and remembered that, they could have won, and it could have been UConn and UCLA like I predicted. But they allowed the tenaciousness and the attitude and the they allowed it to, like, I feel like they allowed it to, like, get them out of the rhythm, start speeding them up, and they were worried. Like, one thing UCLA kept doing until like late in the third, when they started doing the full court press.
Mm-hmm.
The guard would sit up there and she would go to her left. And I get that the defensive person is pushing you toward the sideline, but there's nobody in front of you. Go. That's how you counter that. I'm sitting up here yelling at my phone, just go. Because as soon as you pause and pick up the ball, now somebody else gonna come over and trap you. Don't do that. You have the hole. Yes, you're going to have to put on some afterburners, but and one or two things is going to happen. Either you're going to get through and you're going to get past the half court line, or the defender is going to body you so much that they're going to get called for a foul. And eventually, when they finally felt the aura of what I said and they tried it, they kept getting foul calls. I'm like, I know basketball. I was like, come on.
It was the entire weekend on the women's side was, like you said, Texas. I thought Texas might have had a shot, but UCLA looked like they were a team that was destined to do what they needed to do.
Yeah,
And
they
and
just
then
they never their coach never let them get down. They
no,
She called
no.
timeouts at the precise time. She's like,
Right
oh, wait
time,
a minute.
she had complete control. She had a complete control of the pulse of the game, and
Yeah, and
she orchestrated that perfectly.
she
When it
never
comes,
let them girls know, like, hold that head up, let's go. No,
yep,
that's not what we're doing. You know who you are. You know what to do. Let's regroup this. We already up by about 12. We can make this get out of hand. We're doing good. I know they playing that defense and they playing hard and they D'ing you up, and is you feeling the pressure. Keep your pipes. Keep your pipes. You good. I know it don't feel like it because you out there and you having to deal with it, but the pressure ain't what you think. Just give it some time. You keep playing your game and quit with the ISO, and don't be so quick to shoot a doggone three when you bring it down just because they look like they showing you something. Make them work. Move
yeah,
around.
and it just made it to where they did. Everybody did. It was great. It was great fundamental basketball.
Yes.
Also, throughout the whole thing. That's why I like. That's why I
Yes.
started really like watching the women's thing. To
Right.
touch on Gino, I never, when I was watching that game, and I was watching that game live, and I
Mm.
was lip reading everything that was going on, and I'm like, what is going on? Because you saw Don get visibly upset, and he was just going, and you could hear Gino because one of the microphones that was on that soundline was picking up what he was saying. And I'm like, what in the world is going on with it? And then I saw the post-game press conferences, and I'm like, something ain't right. But see, like I've said about everything and all the conversations we didn't had today, in the era of social media, somebody's always watching. And the two things that he came out and he said was the disrespect at the opening with the handshake at the beginning of the game, and that one of the South Carolina players ripped his player's jersey. Those are the two things he hammered on, saying that was the issues for it. And what did the video come out and show by Sunday morning? They showed Don Staley go down the line and dap up every single person along that table, for all the announcers, the scorekeepers, the medical staff, everything else. Get to his people, start dapping and hugging all of them up, including him. Then turned around and showed the video. And what made it worse was Gino could have sat there right then and there when his player sat there and said, I ripped my own jersey in a fit of anger. And they showed the clip. When she said that, to refute what you just sat there and said, right then and there, you should have been like, you did what? See, I didn't know that. I thought it was done with that one. You know what? I apologize. Not 24 hours later.
No, 24. Well, 24 hours later, I'm sure I'm sure number one, I'm sure somebody from UConn got a hold of him. Number two, like you said, by that time, everything's had a chance to circulate because they circulated it during the game.
Right.
Like right after it happened, somebody had got wind to the analyst of what he said about the
Yeah.
whole not shaking hands at the beginning of the game, and they immediately showed that she
Her
actually
doing
did.
that. So
And
that's where the aura, because now if you search on the internet right now, they got interviews from Up in Smoke where Candace Parker was like, Gene was talking about Pat Summitt's beef with Gino, and where they was butting heads when UConn was on the rise and Tennessee was coming down during that time frame. It seems like when Gino starts to feel like he's losing his thumbprint on the game, he has one of these flare ups. And I'm like, and at this point, yeah, you won the national championship last year with Paige Beckers. You should have won a couple with Paige Beckers, but you didn't.
right.
It seems like you get one every couple of years now, but your age of dominance is gone. You're going to be good because it's UConn. You're going to get the best of the best, and Eugenio Ariema. But there's certain times to where, as a coach, in that broad of a spotlight that was on that game in there for it, nobody's talking about the fact that your team got boat raced out of there. They're talking about your antics afterwards. And for somebody to sit there and say it's about the girls, it's about my players, you always sit there saying it's not about me, it's about my players,
Did
everything.
you
You made
see
it
that
about you.
they kept airing that commercial where he says that in the commercial, that Marriott commercial
Mm-hmm.
for Bomb Boy, and I just kept every time they showed it, I'm like, this is not the time. And then I told
It's the
you
perfect
after
time.
after UConn won. And then Dan starts going through all the coaches, and he got to Gino. I'm like, Dan, now it's not the time to mention Gino. Of all the times, of all the coaches at UConn to mention, yeah, we should be staying away from Gino right now.
But it made it to where it and it just was. And then on the flip side of it, you saw South Carolina get punched in the mouth again, and Don sat there and said, I could take it. I would have never. And Don's not slick, because Don said I would have never. She said I could take this because I wouldn't be happier losing to such a great coach that's about their players and everything, everything, and knows how to coach the game right, like the coach for UCLA. And she said that in the thing. So slight dig, slight uppercut, because we know it was probably like we said, it was a booster induced apology that came out 24 hours after the fact in between the games.
And if everybody else had a chance to see the video, I'm sure somebody like, hey Gino, look.
Gino, Gino, come on. Just come on.
Gino, look, like, like, you know, And but that's the thing. Like that's what it takes sometimes because everybody gets caught up in the moment. And then all of a sudden you find out, oh wait, the details wasn't what you thought it was, and then you're like, oh crap. And now you have people that will not pivot at all.
Right.
And then you have those people that it's like, hey, I'm your friend. Look, go apologize. Just just go. Just do it. Just do it. So and that will always be the question. Now, history says that I'm sure a phone call was had
Oh yeah.
by by by,
There was a
by the
phone call.
AD. But was it coupled with was it coupled was it coupled with showing up some video like, hey, you said this, they have evidence of this,
Oh,
including your player saying after the game that she ripped her own jersey.
UConn's PR department sat there and probably had a batch of it sitting right there on a flash drive when he walked into his hotel room saying, "Play this now" with a post-it note.
Right. Because
Because
we've never
you
seen
got to
him
get
do
excited.
it.
Because
It's
here's
not like he's known for doing stuff like this. So
no
so he must have really felt some kind of way, but and you could still be wrong.
right. You can still be wrong, but you got to know when to do that. That's not something that you. That's something you do in the hallway in between after the game, and sit up there and talking to Don. Y'all talk that out amongst coaches, amongst colleagues. You don't do that right there on the sideline at the end of the game.
Yeah,
Your team just you
because
more worried about getting your point across. Your team just lost their 54 game winning streak by 14 points.
it's especially knowing that she's spicy. It's one of the things you complained about at halftime, and yet but yet
You
you was
still,
so mad.
you
And
want to
so
pour
in your
gasoline on
feelings,
that
you was
spice.
like, "Oh, I'm gonna confront you." like, no, 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 no.
That was
All
the
right, but
But
again,
that also transitions into the men's game. The
yes,
men's games this weekend. I told you, I told you when it came to Michigan and Arizona, I said if the Michigan team that showed up that boat race Tennessee, Arizona did not have a prayer. And Arizona did not have a
they
prayer.
didn't. But kind of like the Carolina UCLA game, it took some time because that defense did adjust and it
Yeah,
did
they did
did
adjust.
attempt to lock down. But then as time went on, they couldn't keep it up.
And
And
they got the kiss of death from Charles Barkley. Charles came out during that halftime. He sat there and said, if they can get it to 10, because they down by 18 and a half, if they can get it to 10 by 10 minutes left, it's a game. By the time it got to 10 minutes left, it was the 30.
right, and
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 it was legitimate. I'm kicking you in your neck every
right
chance they got.
now my worst nightmare.
Is
And
what you
just to
got
be
tonight.
frank, even if whoever I pick does not win, let's just be frank. I win either way
Yeah,
because
you are
both
lucky
my
like that.
teams are in the championship. So I win either way. This is literally Peyton versus Eli. And
Pretty
I'm
much.
and I'm Arch Manning. It's
Like my
like
boy,
yeah,
both my
I,
boys
I
playing.
win
I'm
either
good.
way. So
And, and, and UConn did what both games was they played to their strengths and they did what they were supposed to do. I think Illinois kind of let that game go at the back end of it
they
because
wore
they
down
got
because they were not expecting. I wonder if they were expecting to only have to mostly deal with Caravan, and when they had to deal with everybody, it just you can only do that for so long. Same thing with South Carolina.
yep.
You're dealing with a team. They got bigs. Their bigs are playing as bigs, and y'all playing more fundamental. So y'all leaning on each other. And it's like,
Yep.
yeah, you can't keep that defense up and keep failing at getting them steals. You can't keep that up for in their case, in the girls' case, 4 quarters, in the guys' case, basically 2 whole quarters. That's
Mhm.
no, no, you gonna have to now, and then this is where it gets interesting because now I got to make my pick. Dang it! This would have been so much easier if you kind of lost
It's
or
not going to be easier because because the same way that I said before was it became worse with what I saw on Saturday night. We got to remember that Michigan's top player has a sprained MCL and had a sprained ankle and was walking up and down the court and still hitting threes.
right. And
And they still boat raced the number one team in the nation, pretty much in Arizona.
right. And as much as I like Reed, uh I think Reed versus Mara has skills.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to the bodying up, I don't see him doing a lot of that. And he's going to have to do a lot of that with Reed, especially with the rebounding, especially with Lindenberg being hurt. Because
Yeah,
you want to try to keep him in as much of the game. So the last thing you need him doing is bodying up with you
with
probably
Reed.
want him, even though technically it's going to be a long day at the office, you actually want him trying to defend Caravan, which is like somebody in the NBA trying to guard Jokic. Like only the only difference I would say is Caravan can take you to the rack and has no issues in doing it. He um so so they definitely will need their size to kick in, and in both teams, the question is which team
Guard's gonna come to play.
will take the other team's team out of the equation in terms of everybody playing.
True. True.
So it is with a heavy heart that I'm just going to go ahead and bite this bullet. And to my surprise, yeah, I'm just going to do it. Um, because if they play anything like they did did the other day, the game will probably be closer, but I don't foresee them being able to take them completely out. Uh, Michigan would have to totally Cadeau would totally have to just go back to playing the way he did at North Carolina for for me to believe that beyond it being close that UConn could win. Although clearly UConn made it to the championship, and I didn't have them going all the way to the championship, so that
I
shows
did.
that shows that what I thought I saw against St. John's and a couple of other teams, they figured it out and had it all figured out by the time they got to the tournament. So, uh, with that, I'm gonna say Michigan, and Michigan actually needs this, and I'm not talking because of the Fab Five and the fact that they haven't won a national championship in years. They need this because of what happened the past few years with the football team
Oh yeah.
between Harbaugh and Shamar Moore.
They need the good publicity right now.
They need something good. It would have been great if the Michigan girls could have also went and won a championship. Although, yeah, it just UCLA was who I thought they were. To
Or
quote
who
Dennis
we said
Green.
they were, who they said they were. It it's is to me, like I said, I don't with Lindenbaum being hurt, but still coming out there. One, you would to hear, and it goes into the conversation we had last week too. To hear a player sit there and tell their coach and tell their former players, "I'm not 100%, but I got to be out there." He went to his parents in the stands and was like, "Yeah, I'm hurt. I got to be out there." And took himself right out there, and then was on the exercise bike, keeping himself loose to go back out there to give whatever he could there in order to help out. And then of all things, which made me frustrated and laugh at the same time at Arizona is that he's hurt. You know he's hurt. You gonna lag off of him, and he's not a jump shooter from three. He could just sit there and just fling it, and you didn't put no pressure on him, and he's splashing threes on you. You already are getting blown out, and then you end up getting it worse because a handicapped person at the time is shooting threes on you.
and
That's
and
when
that
I was like, this is
and
getting disrespectful.
and UConn is not going to do that. That's why I said this
No,
game is
you
going to be
gotta go make
close.
it work.
This game is going to be good. I might as well bite the bullet and just pick one. Like I said, either way, I win because UConn has been my team since the days of Jim Calhoun, and Michigan has been my team since the days of the Pistons and them winning the championship in the same year. So
I can't, and see, you can't lose. I can't win. Because if I pick Michigan, that means I lose with UConn winning the championship on my bracket. And then if I pick UConn, I can't stand UConn for real. So it's like, dang it. But that's the joys of being. My hatred for UConn came from the Big East when UC was in there, and I had to deal with Kemba Walker and Khalid El Amin in there against UC during their time when they were still up in that echelon. So it's not a deep hatred because they whoop UC, they whoop Xavier's ass whenever they can. So I applaud them for that. But I'm like, yeah, I want UConn to win so I can win my bracket. But I really want Michigan to win because Michigan just looks like they are a team that is a wrecking ball. And if they beat UConn and they have it still to where they hit 10 threes in the game and they win by I think they winning margin has been averaging like 27, 28 points a game. If they can beat UConn and they can still hit them two metrics, they are the greatest team to come out of Michigan.
Yeah, that I don't foresee that happening because
I don't,
the
but
level of defense, even if the game gets away, I don't think it's going to get away by 20. Although I
I didn't think Arizona was going to get away by 20. And then I looked up and I was like, wait a minute, is that 18-2? What the hell's going on?
yeah,
And I was like, what?
the team wore down, and when Michigan started playing smarter and started getting less foul calls, because you remember Lindenberg, the game
He
barely
had two
started and he
fouls
had
within the
two
first
fouls.
like 6 minutes.
And I got worried. I'm like, wait, oh God, what's happening?
And then all of a sudden it was just like, here they come. Oh, snap. Here it comes.
Yeah,
And I'm sitting up there. They was like, yeah, they can make it a game. They making a game. And here comes Chuck. If they get it down to 10, they actually have a fight chance in order to make it work and everything. Well, they'll be all right. They just gotta get it down to 10 by halftime. And somebody tweeted at 10 minutes was like, hey, is this what you thought it was gonna be, Chuck?
yeah. Well. At least he got one win in this weekend.
I mean, he
At least he got one win in. It
got
was
one.
like like because like I said, I just they showed him on the sideline. He was all bent forward. He kept rubbing his head. He was frustrated, and he's just looking at the game because Auburn had the lead, and then they lost it, and then it got down to 8.8 seconds. I'm like, now if they hit the first one. and missed the second one, they could get a 3. They missed the first one, got the second one, and then if I'm not mistaken,
Somehow, somebody still got a 3.
they ended up getting a turnover, either a turnover or a missed shot that ended up leading to a 3 that took it into overtime. And matter of fact, I had to go back on Hulu and go back. I'm like, wait a minute, what did I miss? I was like, how are we in
It's that fast.
overtime?
It switched.
Like I missed something. So I went back and I watched it, and like I said, it was funny because they was taking it out. Auburn was taking it out near Charles, and he took a second to stand up and give the player a tap while they were trying to get the game restarted. I just busted out laughing. I'm like, Charles is a fool. God, he is a fool. Uh, but I
But with
know.
that being said, it is 8:57. I just
Yes,
got the notification that the game is getting ready to start. Everybody enjoy the national championship game. No matter who wins, enjoy the game.
yes, yes.
Enjoy the fun of it. And
Open
now
my
we get to
phone
go
back
into
up.
draft season.
Yeah,
Jesus
and,
Christ.
and UFL and baseball is kicking into high gear, and
Yeah.
so
Baseball. So basically, it's starting to get into my down season besides the draft.
I'll have the UFL. Heck, I might break my Tom Brady Madden back out.
Oh God, yeah. I'll be figuring out how to start streaming GTA 5 because I've never played it.
Uh,
The fun, the aspects, the time spent that I can have until football really kicks back in.
all right,
But with
everybody have
that,
a great week.
that's Dante Suave. I'm Mystah Jay. Everybody have a great one. We will see you guys next week.
Yep, yep.